Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, we've got a very special guest, Bernadette and Bruckner, who's been on our podcast before. And, we've shared some really great information and great insights and pieces of wisdom around relationships. So welcome again, Bernadette.
Yes, I'm totally thrilled that I'm again on the podcast because I love what you're doing. And it's such a important topic, relationships.
Massively so. And I think especially in our current times, because at the moment, listeners, whether you're listening to this on a replay or live, what I want to put it in the context of is that we're in a current lockdown situation on the back of the coronavirus being prevalent. So we're going to be touching on what that might mean for people in the current crisis. And also the main subject we're going to be discussing is around why do some relationships work or not work, as the case may be. So Bernadette, if you'd like to start us off by, first of all, your thoughts around what's currently happening in the world at the moment.
It's I don't know. For me, it's a very, very interesting time. For me, it's like a global social project. And we see what actually relationship can be, beginning with ourselves, and what actually happens with people when they have certain regulations, when they have to be at home, and what actually relationship might be meaning with when you are very, very close and not have any other options than leaving, leaving the house or anything else, and how we actually treat each other in certain circumstances. And for me, it's really, really, on one side, very frightening what I see. On one side, I smile because a lot of people are coming together and they redefine their own relationship with themselves, with others, with family, and something like that. And others don't, because domestic violence is rising very, very high in Austria, and I think also globally. And it gives us also a chance to see ourselves, what happens when we are in very, in stressful times. And I'm working a lot these days, helping other people and helping them to overcome any challenges and fears and everything else, and get also clarity. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of relationship will split up and new ones will come together. So it's a very exciting time.
It is a very exciting time, because even with, I suppose, maybe it might be for some couples that have previously had pretty good, healthy relationships to do some reflection around the fact that they may have come to a point where they've thought, this relationship has reached the end of its course for whatever reason, to maybe reconsider that. And also, like you say, for other relationships that are definitely not working well, for people to actually reflect and make the decision, I really now need to make a change and get out of this relationship to be available to look for something new.
Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like because I had today a meeting with other women, and I just said to them, just now you see what actually is the basis of the love, of the relationship or partnership you have currently. Was it truly love that you come together, or was it other reasons? And for some people, they really it's like eye-opening at the moment, and they will probably say, "What the fuck was that? That I was so insane to either marry this person or meet this person, and so just, in my opinion, just use this time at the moment and reflect yourself, and also with your partner, of course, together if possible or not, and just see the values or the reasons why you actually came together. Once that you really can reflect and just get all the good memories from the beginning, where when you have the pink glasses on and you were totally in love with this person, and just figure out for yourself what actually the reason why we came together. So it's a really big chance that you have, and we have the time at the moment, that you really reconsider and just check for yourself the good reasons why you came together. You can refresh a lot of memories, actually, or not, because I met so many people, and they just said, what was in my mind to meet this person, and what the fuck was that why are we actually fighting, and why we are actually still together, and so let's use this time still positive. Use this time for yourself, for reflection, for checking your own values, and also checking the path where you went together and the path you did together, and just refresh everything or not. And as you, as relationship expert and love expert, we actually can redefine the word love. What is it actually for me? What is it for my partner? What is it for us together? Is it still the same, or change something? And what is actually happening with me when I'm in crisis, when I challenge? Most of the people are challenging now big problems they never thought about before. Or they had never before. We experienced something totally new, not only in your small area, but actually globally. And how do I react on it? And how does it affect for me, for my partnership, and also for my family, of course, and with my parents and with my kids, and.
Yeah, and certainly, I do think that especially women, they generally do have a very strong forgiving nature, and sometimes that's to the detriment of their boundaries, and what their morals and values are, because I think it's very important to have those boundaries, to know your self-worth, to know that you are enough and that you do deserve to be treated well in a relationship. And sometimes it's easy to throw this word forgiveness around a lot, but sometimes, forgiveness can actually mean giving that other person the bullet they need for to reload the gun to shoot you yet again, because they've not learned there's a consequence to their actions.
I think it's for women, I think we have a very, very great value. We not only care for ourselves, but we also care for everybody else. It's in our nature. But it can be also a challenge, because they had a group of women in my school, and they were worried about everybody else. And I was like, yeah, I understand everybody of you, because it's in our nature to take care of everybody. But it also can be, an obstacle for us. It can also be something what makes us lie, that we cannot handle anything anymore. We have no idea how to deal with it. And especially those we love the most, we of course want to take care of them a lot. And it also can hurt us a lot when you see more and more the character of those people coming out when they are in stressy times. And I created different resilience tools, copies strategies, and one of them is I do a lot of inner child healing. So when we are in stress, we actually begin to have strategies we learned in our childhood. And if we cannot express it in a normal way or in words, we express it in emotions. And we women, yes, we forgive if we learned it or not. And it also depends how much how much detached we are to the other person. And especially in partnerships, it can be very hurtful, very stressy. And if we do not learn to handle all those challenges we have out there, it can make us more ill than actually it should. And as you say in forgiveness, it's like forgive. Two wordings. It's like I want to give you something out of pure love or out of pure something else. Please take it and let's have a nice time together. And forgiving is something that I don't emotionally be detached anymore to the other person, what makes me hurting, or what makes me do something, what it's not, how should I say, something what I actually do not want to do, but I don't have any other possibility to make any strategies to help you in a different way. A lot of people cannot express in words what they actually feel at the moment. So sometimes, like in domestic violence, people become very violent. And I don't know how it is in your country, but in my country, alcohol is still a topic. And if people begin to drink at home because they have no other possibility to do something with their time, violence can be an expression, not having any words for something what they actually are bothered with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I concur with what you're saying. Certainly, I do think there can be a balance between forgiveness and somebody knowing there has to be a consequence for their actions if they are behaving badly towards you. And I think, first of all, there has to be that talk about what that consequence actually means in terms of how it's made you feel, and expressing that at a time when things have calmed down, and you can let that other person know how it's impacted you. And then on the back of that, the consequence being of they realise how it's impacted you and made you feel, then you can then forgive. So
what I since COVID, I did a lot of different videos in different languages to give my resilience tools and tips and copy strategies. And especially in partnerships, when you cannot express in words what is actually going on inside of you, I highly recommend to tell the other person, darling, I need a time out. Something bothering me, but I cannot express it in words. And I will just check for myself how I can handle it, and maybe we can talk later about it. And for a lot of people, I don't know, for us, when I grew up, like talking about emotions, talking about any problems was like, a hidden topic. It's like, you don't talk about, especially with men, you don't talk about any emotions. And you don't talk about any topics what's between us, because there's nothing there. So talking about something with the other person, it might be very intimacy, it might be very personal, and sometimes even in partnerships, it's not possible that you talk about everything with the other person. Because they say something that it's like, oh, darling, not again. I don't want to hear that again. I have other problems. I have other da. And in my deepest belief is, especially in times like this, it's more important than ever that we remember the basics between people. And there should be connections. It should be that you are allowed to talk open about whatever you want. And if it's not possible, please just find yourself another way how to express yourself.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's another option whereby, perhaps you can both agree, when things are in a calm phase too, if there is a future conflict, where if it's easier for one person to actually write what could be a love letter, around how they're feeling, but not necessarily from a blame perspective, but just literally how they felt about what that previous conflict was, and how it impacted them to help the other person understand.
Yes, exactly. Well, a lot of people are painting. I mean, if men actually begin to do sport or something like that, just do it. Before you sitting at home and be aggressive against your partner, just do something else, but tell the other person, because most of the time it has nothing to do with the person who is standing in front of you. It has most of the time it has any hurtings from your childhood or something like that. In a lot of my coachings, it's most of the time they are people from childhood, but not from your partner. Your partner is just only here, and maybe the old conflicts is coming up. And as you said, it's just beautiful. If it's possible to write a love letter to the other person, because at the moment you cannot express it in words, just do it. And it's like, I think everybody out there knows what's when you have a conflict with your partner and you consider just split up because it's the easiest way. And for me, it's like, why did you came together? Just remember that. What was the basic feeling towards the other person, that this was the point that you said, yes, I want to have you as my partner. And in times like this, we have the biggest chance to redefine everything new, inclusive your partnership, your feelings to have this person, and what you actually be grateful for this person. Or you find out, yes, maybe it's a better time, it's the best that we split up, but if you do so in a nice way. I never understood why people actually fighting together and still say, hey, you're still my partner, but they have wordings for your partner, which is not nice. And I talk with a lot of people, I talk with a lot of partners, especially now I'm out there and just help, some food store to handle everything, only to be with the people and to have nice words for them, and that they be more secure about all the situations. And for me, it's like, if I don't have any nice words from my partner anymore, I should reconsider how I actually talk with myself. And do I have nice words for myself? Because a person who truly loves themselves have nice words for themselves and also have nice words for the other person, especially in times like this. And I have one credo, which I live for I think more than 20 years already. And I always say, if I nurture a mother or a woman, I nurture a whole family. That's why I do a lot of free coachings for women, for mothers, for especially very vulnerable groups. And I always say, if I empower women and mothers, I empower their whole family. And as you say, yes, we care for everybody else. Sometimes we forget ourselves, but we are very, very good in forgiving. This is a gift, and this gift should be used way much more, not only in crisis, but this time gives us the chance to see which core values we actually have and which we are living for. And love should always begin with self-love. And if I love myself so much, I can give a lot to the other people, and the surrounding will be way much more relaxed, even when there are crises. And I see it in my family, I see it with others I coach. As more as I'm relaxed, as more as the women are relaxed, helping the other one, nurturing them, as more as it's going easier with all the challenges out there.
Yeah. I certainly, subscribe to, really looking at ourselves and what relationship we have with ourselves first. Because like you say, any triggers that come up where we tend to point the finger at our partners for opening that wound and blaming them and, contributing to whatever future discussion or conflict comes off on the back of that is usually, like you say, from childhood experience and wounds that have not been fully healed, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. And there is one thing you said it so nicely now, because regarding the blaming, I'm allowed, and I'm very proud of it, to be a teacher at the University of Applied Science, or my old university, and I teach them also how to give feedback to another person. And if you give, a healthy, I call it healthy feedback, it always begins with I. I feel. I'm aware that this. I don't blame them with you. That's not feedback. That's truly blaming someone. But if I say that's my feeling towards what I perceive from you, this is just feedback. Whatever the other person does with it, but you actually express your feelings, what you are aware of the action of the other people is doing.
Yeah, we had also within our teaching a way of giving feedback, which is similar to what you were saying, start with I rather than the word you. But, we referred to it as giving a shit sandwich, we called it. So in other words, you actually started the feedback with something positive about them. Mm-hmm. And then, whatever they could improve on is in the middle. In other words, the shit in the sandwich, and then end up with something overall that's positive so that they are more open to receive it.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I say it's for so many times, especially when you are in the middle of forgiving your parents, they always did the best at their moment. If they wouldn't knew it better, they would do it better. And at the moment when I give feedback, as you said, first the positive, then you always find something positive in anybody. And then if you give the healthy feedback with beginning with I, this feedback is not that negative or not that hurting than if you would do it in the you and no positive feedback before. And this is something how should I say it? The most important life changing gift you should actually learn from home. You don't learn in school either. And one of them is giving a healthy feedback. One of them is teaching self-love. And one of them is, how do I handle crisis? How do I handle challenges? How do I handle something what I perceive, what emotion or whatever, to help myself and others the best way it's possible? And I highly recommend everybody out there, just reflect yourself. How do you actually want to get treated from other people? And when you're clear of that, begin that you just treat them like you actually want to get treated. And it's for sometimes I see it at the moment, it seems like this is totally challenging for a lot of people out there. And I'm wondering so many times, how actually those people handle themselves when they are so ugly to other people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. So what advice would you give to women, Bernadette, that are actually in maybe an abusive relationship right now and they're in this lockdown situation? What advice could you give them to give them hope for managing the current situation?
What I found out when I work with a lot of abused women and creating resilience method and coping strategies for them, I found out that most of the time they had no idea what boundaries are. They never said no. I could yell at them. I could take away all their spaces. They never learned it. And for me, it was heartbreaking. And for me, it was the greatest lesson to learn. So I teach them one thing. Find out for yourself where your boundaries is, where your space is. Make your space bigger and say no. I teach them, I teach even one person on the phone that she should begin to yell at me and say no. Because the next day she had to go to the doctor and getting information regarding her son, because they refused to give her information about her son who was in a coma. And I trained her, I coached her, that she stand up for herself, for her son, know where her boundaries is. She even changed her voice. She even changed her wordings. And she was strong enough to get everything that the doctors took her for serious for the future. And for everybody who is out there being in an abusive relationship, please find yourself a moment, to find yourself your space, and be worth it for a good living, be worth it to say no. And I know by heart that everybody out of you has someone where you can go.
I agree.
And most of the time, we do not have the guts or the courage to say no to a person you actually love. And that's what I mean before. Just look for yourself. What is actually love for you? Love should be caring. Love should be nurturing. And love should be that you actually love yourself so much that you're allowed to say no and go.
And I think some women do find it difficult to say no and to set boundaries, and if the word no just sounds a bit alien to you because you're not used to saying it or have had no previous practice of implementing it, I think a softer way would be to say, I can't, I can't. It's a softer, easier way of saying no, isn't it?
It always depends, but if you're in an abusive relationship, I can't is not enough anymore. And when an abused woman is coming to me for coaching, and I had very tough stories, crying was sometimes I did after the coaching because it broke my heart. Because most of the time, those abusive women are just beautiful. They are beautiful souls. They are beautiful characters and just totally caring and everything else. And they only desire one thing: to be loved, to be cared for, to be nurtured for. And others abuse that. And that's why it's breaking always my heart. But the most learning, what it was common, like general for everybody of them, was knowing their own boundaries and saying no very clear. I can't is not enough most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. But I suppose sometimes there has to be a stepping stone towards being able to say what they need to say, doesn't there? And I was just, I suppose, coming from that point of view.
I had abused women. I tell you a story. I had abused women, and I went to them to the forest, only that they have the space to yell, to scream, to say every single shit words they want always to say to this person, and just cry and bring out all the emotions, what they stored in their body. And if you store emotion, everything else in your body, you get ill. I'm sorry to say that, but you just get ill. And for me, there's one wish and one dream I actually have, is making a workshop for these women where we can yell, where we can scream, where we can get all emotions out of your body and show you what boundaries means. And yes, in my spare time, I love kickboxing and everything else. And that's not only because I have fun with it. It's only because I know what it means to be strong and have to be strong when you actually don't want to. And for me, it's like I'd rather be a single than in a bad relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
And I had it's just I'm more worth than,
Yeah, I agree with that. On that note, Bernadette, what would be the best contact information that you could share with the audience should they want to get in touch with you?
Oh, it's on my website. It's BernadetteBruckner.com. And there you can write me emails and everything else. Otherwise, just I'm in every single social media what's out there. Only because I spread as much as possible information, tips, resilience methods, coping strategies in times of crisis. I'm also in different projects already, only that we can support as much as possible people, that you stay healthy, that you stay strong, and that you stay really, really focused and be here and just stay healthy. And I know in every single country there are different centers. We in Austria have a lot of women centers. They can go to and get professional information and help and everything else. And I'm pretty sure also in your country, Lyn, and worldwide, and just please use it, do it. It's anonym, at least in Austria. I know it's anonym. It doesn't, no one knows it, and you still get very good information. And in my opinion, in these times, we have to help together as much as possible, because this is the only thing what matters.
Bernadette, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and wisdom. And I will make sure all your contact information as well is shared in our show notes as always. So listeners, thank you so much for your time and for tuning in on this podcast episode with Bernadette all the way from Austria. And remember, true love starts with opening your hearts. Until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.